Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new What If. In this What If, it's gonna be what if Deku had the powers of Metal Elementor. You may or may not know this character, but they are from Max Steel and a villain. And let's see how his life would be if he had the powers of Metal Elementor. And yes, it's gonna look like this. Let's start with his birth. When Izuku was just born, he wasn't born normally. He was a ball, but at first when he came out like a normal baby, and then automatically light showed up, encasing him within a little ball. After that happened, everyone there panicked, including Inko and Hasashi. They were worried, and they went to the quirk doctor, and Hasashi demanded to get his son out of that thing. And then they got a quirk doctor to see what was happening with Izuku. And it was said they told them that it was a mutation quirk. Except what his was unique. It's his quirk. It is a technology type quirk, and he's gonna be in the little ball thing for 1 year. So when Hisashi went back to Inko and told her about the news, she was both relieved and saddened because she could not see her baby for 1 year. Time skip, 1 year. 1 year has passed, and Izuku finally came out of the little ball, but they look different. They're no longer flesh and bones. No, just metal and glass and other things. He was advanced technology. They even went to see. They even checked on his everything. They measured his height at this stage of his life. 5'8". Yeah, let's get making that tall. And Izuku, it was only 2 when he was measured that height. And when he went to kindergarten, he was smarter than everyone else. He was more attentive and everything. And he always got straight A's. He and Bakugo didn't become friends. No, far from it. Izuku did not like him because of his attitude. Even as a child, he was still very cocky of himself, but not so much to the point where he's, Bakugo level. But him and those two just don't like each other, just because, Bakugo knows about Izuku's quirk being a mutation. And when Bakugo finally got his quirk, he would think he was stronger than Izuku. And since all the praising, it got to his head. Izuku didn't really know anything else besides the quirk was just, a technology mutation. He could shoot out lasers out of his hands, but they couldn't do anything else besides stun. And that's basically what they could do. He would test out his physical strength, and he was only as strong as 2 adults. And that's it. But even though that was the fact, he would still want to be a hero. And also, no matter how much he would be bullied by Bakugo, because, since he got his quirk by now, he would still try to. And he would try to figure out what else he could do. He would try to see how, as, durable as he was. And he figured out it was already obvious that it was hard as steel. And since nothing could hurt him, he decided if he couldn't be a hero like All Might, he could be a hero that could still save people, but be able to help people in some other way. Let's time skip one more time, but this won't be to all the way. Izuku would be 10. Before he was like 6. And now he's 10. And when he became 10 years old, it was something kept attracting him. Whenever he looked at anything, he would always see something on how much it could be weaponized, how much it could be improved upon. But he didn't want to. He would be constantly fighting himself not to do whatever it was supposed to do. He didn't know it would actuality give him his powers. He would go to a small family, camp. And when they went to camp with Inko and Edis Inko and him, he saw something in the woods. Something that, for some reason, made him go towards it. He saw a statue made of metal, but not just one metal, many metals. Steel, tungsten, a bunch of other metals I can't remember the names of, and some gold. For some reason, he wanted to engulf it, but before he could, Inko would call him to come back. Sorry for any noise if you hear. My family's around, and it's kind of loud because of cars. And when Izuku would then go around town, well, anywhere he could find metal, and then he would secretly go there again, put any metal wasn't already in the thing around it. He would even weld the metal onto it. He would do it for a long period of time. He would have almost all metals on it, mostly because he would go to Deku Beach. By now, it would not be pretty. It wouldn't be as nearly as much as, Deku Beach in the beginning of 10 months, but it's still a lot of garbage. So we got a lot of metal from that, a lot of other things as well. But then he would discover something else. He would also discover something better than he ever thought. He would then discover he could also actually discover what the numbers meant by doing that. He knew if he combined himself with the thing, he would be powerful. He finally figured it out after a while. And then Izuku was going to finish it by getting the one last metal he needed. Tungsten steel. Actually, it's steel. Yeah, he needs steel. The last one to make sure it's made out of all metals and everything else. He would go to Deku Beach, try to find it, but there was none. This would continue for another 2 years. Izuku wanted to have more power, to be almost impossible to destroy. And then he found it. And when he did, he finally put on the thing, put the thing with the rest of the metal, but then his mom caught him doing it, getting all the metals and dragging it to where it was. Inko would be worried and be asking him, why is there so much metal on that old statue, and why is he doing this? He would calm her down and then tell her, it's because my quirk. I finally figured out my quirk. It's not just me being a little bit stronger and smarter than everyone else and able to shoot little lasers out of my hands. I can merge with anything. This much metal, with what I can do to it, can make it nearly impossible to destroy me. Please, Mom, let me do this. Alright, but not yet. Until you become 14, okay, Izuku? Okay. Time skip to the canon timeline. Not a timeline, more like, to the canon when we see Izuku. When Izuku would be in school, he actually, after the sludge, monster engulfed him, he didn't go after All Might. Instead, he would walk straight home, and that means no slime incident, nothing like that. So that means no All Might and All for One, one for all. He can't even get it because of what he is. If one week can eat, or if he even needs to sleep, no, he does not. So yeah, wait.
And then afterwards, Izuku would then go to the statue. But since he knew that it would take longer for him to do it, he would ask his mom to drive him there. Izuku would then begin to think about it. Does he really want to do this? To no longer know what he is? To no longer look like how he is? He didn't know if he could turn back, or even if how he looked like would be, and it would even be what it would even look like anything he wanted it to. He would just think it would just be him, more bulkier and with just metal around him. Izuku would then ask Inko to take one last picture of them together, as how he looks like. She would, and then he would automatically engulf it. And when he did, he splits into pieces, it literally going all around it, fusing his body onto it, mixing, and boom. When he was done and all the light was gone, Inko would look and be in shock of how little Izuku was now. No longer a non-threatening little robot, now a literal metal behemoth with sharp teeth and sharp claws, and with spines coming out of its back. The claw, everything about him would look terrifying. Izuku would not do anything. And then he would look at his hands. And then he would realize he doesn't look anything like how he did before. His hands are way more bigger, and they no longer are anything how they were before. He would even try to shoot the laser at his hand. Wouldn't work. Wait, what happened? Mom? How do I look like? Inko would be scared at first, but then she would remember this is her son Izuku. This is just his quirk. She would reply with saying, "I'll take a picture and you can look at yourself. Okay, Izuku?" Okay, Mom. Izuku would then stand still, but as soon as the picture is taken and then he's shown it, he automatically jumps back in fear. He looks into a nearby lake and sees that his face is completely different. The only thing that's similar to how he was before is a little thing between his head. It was between his eyes. He knew that it was actually him, and the rest of it, everything was around him was just the thing he turned into. Izuku would then beg Inko to take him to a quirk training camp, and then she would even explain to them that his quirk just evolved, and he needs to get training to be able to control it. And this would be the 10 months training. Yes, I'm going to do this much in one episode. F off. This is my episode. This is my crap. And then and then the school would be informed that he would not be attending the school for 10 months. Izuku would get education and training. Bakugo would not care about what the hell is happening to Izuku, or as he likes to call him, Deku. But in reality, he is Deku. The one who calls Deku is now way stronger than him and more durable. And when Izuku was to finally, in the 5 months, he was already a well fighter. Was what he could do. He found that he could turn his hands into saws and to wrecking balls with spikes and other things. He would try to see if he could change his face, but he couldn't. He could just turn himself into a puddle of molten metal. There wouldn't actually be actual molten metal. It wouldn't be red hot. It would just be the color of his body. Izuku would continue to do this for the rest of the months. And Izuku would then finally would still have regrets of doing it. But even though he has so much power, he no longer looks like an actual hero in his eyes. He looks more like a villain, more terrifying and more willing to kill. That's the look that a couple of trainers said when they thought he wasn't around, but he was around. Izuku would take he would not take he would actually just be accepted into UA because they would know of what he was capable of and how efficient he was in fighting, and they would know that if Izuku were to be rejected and be rejected by other schools, if he was rejected by UA, he would be rejected by all schools, and he would probably turn into a vigilante or a villain if he was manipulated. So they would take him in to make sure that wouldn't happen, and they would make sure that the public wouldn't know about him. Not yet, anyways. And when Izuku would finally know what, and when it would finally be the day for everything, Izuku would be nervous. He'd be scared to think of what the kids and what the students will think of him. He wasn't shocked when he saw Bakugo there, but Bakugo was shocked to see him. Actually, he didn't even know it was him at first. As soon as he saw him, he automatically said, "What the hell are you?" and automatically he rushed at him and tried to blow him up. It didn't do anything to him because where he went for was the chest, and yeah, it didn't work for him at all. There was 0 damage and 0 burns on anything. He expected the thing to scream back in pain or just to say stop it. It did not. It just took the full brunt of the blow and said, Bakugo, you do know that's not legal to attack someone with your quirk, especially on school grounds. He would be shocked of how the thing would know his name. He would ask, how the hell does it know his name? He would say, well, I'm not surprised you don't remember me. And I'm surprised you don't recognize me either. I look completely different from how I usually look anyways. What the hell do you mean by that, you goddamn bastard? Then Izuku would say, I'm Izuku Midoriya. I just evolved, my quirk just evolved. And because of that, I got stronger. Bakugo would be shocked and angry. Shocked because now the one he called Deku was now more durable than him. He's probably stronger. And he got pissed off because now he thinks Izuku's looking down on him. Quite literally and metaphorically. Because he was as tall as the UA door. Like, the door they had for the 1A. And I mean the 1A door. He took up a large portion of the classroom. They literally had to make the room bigger just to fit him. And that would mean making every other room in that area actually make everything in that one area bigger with everything else. It would take a month to do that because getting glass and everything, getting chair, all that kind of stuff. Izuku would then see other people walk in while Baku would just take his seat and just say under his breath, goddamn metal bastard. It's actually in actuality he was mostly scared of him, because his face and his features. And yes, he does have a UA uniform, but it's just way more bigger and way more, more durable because he could easily shred it apart if he does it by accident. And when the rest of the class saw him, they were all scared out of their mind. Tenya Ida,
automatically froze and literally demanded if he was either a student or an intruder. He said a student, and he said, "Sorry, from how you look like and how tall you are more terrifying than anyone else I've ever seen. Even those with quirks that are monstrous don't really compare to you." And that's alright. Everyone else would have a similar, reaction. The only one that wouldn't really react to him like that would be actually Mina and Mina. She would be the only one who just thinks he looks cool, and you would say, "Huh, so you're the first one you're the first one who actually doesn't think I'm either terrifying or monstrous." And another one who thought he didn't look monstrous or terrifying would be a non-brainer. Well, Kirishima. He would think that he's manly and awesome. And then Aizawa would come in and quiet everything down. Alright, students. Put on these tracksuits. Except for you, Midoriya. Yours is already in your locker. Take it and you know what to do. Go on the battlegrounds. Alright, Aizawa. And yeah, everything else happened. But Bakugo, yeah, everything else would be the same. Basically, Izuku would be dominating anything with physical strength. He wasn't the fastest, even though his size did help him with that. So yeah, a couple things were easier for him. His size didn't help with speed, but it did help with him being able to make it go past faster. Since he was bigger, he could make more longer strides. And with the grip strength, he automatically dominated that. Sorry for yawning. I just got out of school, and it was hella work. So yeah. I think I don't remember. I have a shitty memory. And then Izuku would be called up for the ball throw. Aizawa would tell him that he could use his quirk however he sees fit. And then Izuku would then turn his arm into he would turn his forearm into a baseball bat. He would just throw it into the air and then just hit it, sending it far distance away. Aizawa would look at the little thing in his hand and say 2,624 meters. And they would all be shocked. Because he had the highest amongst all of them. And when they got the results, Izuku was number 1. And everyone else is basically the same, but one ranking, lower. Except for, Mineta, because he's still always motherfucker. I don't really care if any children are watching this. And then that would be the end of the day. Only a couple people would actually think it'd actually be friends with him. Mina and Kirishima would be them. And also Ochako. Well, that's the end of this. See you all in the next What If.